The reality is invented for you by people who choreograph it. There's got to be an office in Washington someplace where a bunch of people that you never heard of choreograph reality. It's not just what the next photo op is going to be. It's what is the interpretation of a given international event. And this has to be generally dispensed through the media with no questions asked.
Fusebox. Okay, this is Fusebox number 145. Turgid Flux.
Like that one?
I'm sorry, man. You're on a roll. Turgid Flux. And you should climb down off your high horse and just move the hell along.
Oh, indeed, because riding while high is not recommended, especially if your horse is high. And greetings, friends, and welcome in to this, the 145th edition of Fusebox, bombastically entitled Turgid Flux. And I'm your wearing my mask on the inside host, Mark Rose, and over there, across the Great Plains and turgid tundra is the always socially distanced by default, the deacon of decibels, Milt Keynes, everybody.
Thank you kindly. Yeah, actually, I'm digging the imposed isolation, bro. It doesn't bother me at all.
Yes, I suspected that would be the case with you, sir.
Now, I gotta say, the whole grocery shopping thing, that's a bit of a drag. I mean, waiting in line to get into a store takes longer than actually getting the shit I need and getting the hell out.
Yeah, I hear you. But it is, after all, for the safety of everyone concerned. It seriously is. I think they're handling it pretty well around here. We find ourselves in the state of Oregon, Portland specifically. People just, they understand the seriousness of the situation and are trying to do the right thing. Unlike some places I could mention. But we'll get into that. I wanted to mention at the top here that the show title for this episode of the program comes from a prior unreleased interview for New Zealand television by filmmaker Geoff Stephen, with, of course, the great Frank Zappa, part of which we actually showcased at the pre-roll to this program. And Frank, of course, called most of popular TV at the time an example of turgid flux. Or, if you prefer, an overblown, pompous flow of poot, if I may suggest.
Still is.
For the most part, or at least the popular part. Although, you know what? I think Frank would be rather pleased, though, with this more recent, seriously, golden age of programming. As there really is. There's a lot to like these days. He pointed out in that interview that if a show has a high curiosity or intrigue level, it'll become very popular. But of course, as the newness or the interest level of a said show becomes more formatted and kind of middle of the road-ish, well then, naturally, the program starts to lose eyes and ears.
But why don't these people figure out what the bottom line is really, and it's interest? If you always play it safe, the interest factor goes down.
Well, it seems like common sense, right? Sadly, this has not been the formula used by most networks over the years, as they mostly were looking for the safe and time-tested thing, which, you know what, by its very existence, has the seeds of its own destruction baked in. Bland is as bland does.
Yeah, it's kind of like what happened to radio, too, man. I mean, as it became more about, like moving products and less about the actual music, the thing just died over.
Well, it had help, too. Mobile media and the trend away from the time-based programming. On demand is the model now, especially now with this quasi-house arrest style imposition being in effect. So there we are. But we'll take a short pause and rearrange some papers to make it look like we're busy. But when we return, some observations on the current viri situation and some highly turgid pandemoniacs at large.
My, you certainly know all about dishwashers.
The show for everybody, but not everybody will like it.
TheFuseboxShow.com.
So, in our present COVID-19 infused world, I was struck by a phenomena or two. So would that be phenomena?
Beats the fuck out of me, Patron.
Well, we've been hearing a lot frequently, and then more again, and one more again, from that orange guy in the White House that we, meaning the USA, or the United States of Awesome, as our colleague in audio crime, Geoff Pollard, would say, that we here in the U.S. are doing more testing than anyone else in the world. Well, sir, we are the third largest country in the world behind our friends in Canada and Russia at the top there. It's quite clear that our fearless leader does not understand the term per capita as it applies to people tested, ranked by a size and a population formula. In other words, you got to compare apples to apples and not apples to pangolins. Thank you. This means South Korea has tested roughly 1 in every 144 of its residents, and in the U.S., the per capita testing rate is closer to 1 in every 900 residents. Which, if you do the math, puts the U.S. at 41st in the ranking of countries doing testing based on population. So, you know there's over 330 million folks living in the U.S.
Yeah, most of them are still waiting for a stimulus check.
Well, unless you're a major corporation masquerading as a small business. Well, we'll fix you right up. Got mine, finally, by the way?
Well, that's good. Well, now you don't have to sell that other kidney.
Right. So this we've done more testing than anyone statement is a wee bit, turgid. Other countries have been markedly more efficient in covering their territories, even with smaller populations, mostly due to really pretty grand management of resources like Iceland and New Zealand and South Korea, as we mentioned, just to name a few there. But it's not been particularly fabulous here, friends, regardless what the chattering insects in the White House are telling us. Which leads me to this rather related second phenomena, fake followers. Are you aware, for instance, Mr. Keynes, that if you were so inclined...
Yeah, I'm probably not.
Yeah, but if you were inclined to get a bunch of followers on your favorite social media platform, you could just purchase them.
Doesn't surprise me. It's like that verified buyers thing. You know? Folks who do those reviews on Amazon.
Yeah, indeed it is. And that one is another can of squids, friends. There are so many ways to pull the wool over our eyes these days.
Yeah, most sheep hate that.
Well, some hate that. Yes. There are, quote, places offering these exact services for a fee. For mere pennies per head, friends, you can amass thousands of followers and be social media influencers just like magic.
Well, record companies have done that for years, bro.
Why, yes, they have. Yes, they have. And you know what? That's precisely where this remarkable innovation came from, or at least was inspired from. Except now, the providers of this service are in faraway lands where they cannot be easily traced or hacked into. I have firsthand knowledge of one such case where an individual was actually told to get more followers to influence a casting decision. As the producer of the said project, wanted to make sure that any of the talent that they hired also had a large group of followers so that they could maximize the marketing potential of the aforementioned project. Just business, they'll tell you. You want fake? This whole social media platform thing is fake. Easily manipulated and manufactured to produce a strategic output of highly questionable data. Now, in a way, this is actually a good thing.
It is?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, let me explain. You know how we always hear about the masses being this or the masses being that?
Yeah.
Well, this is a clear indication that by creating a buzz or inventing followers, that the, quote, masses are not quite as sheep-like as once thought. Because it's taking a lot more buzz and a lot more social media sleight of hand to move the needle now. And as Frank put it,
There's nothing wrong with the masses. The masses are very wonderful. We happen to be part of the masses. The only problem with the masses is the way they're treated by mass media and the things that they're fed. Think about that. You are what you eat, and you eat what you get fed.
we is them, and them is us. It's related, too, to these recent rallies by anti-social distancing and anti-stay-at-home order folks. Now, I get the concern, but these folks with the guns and the MAGA hats and Trump flags, again, we're looking at a staged commodity, friends. Bunches of these protests have been organized by fringe alt-right groups, or in the case of Michigan, back on April 30th, actual militia members were expressly invited by organizers of the, quote, American Patriot Rally to provide, get this, security.
Oh, great.
Yeah. Do you see a pattern here? Now, none of these so-called rallies have altered public opinion about state-level shutdown orders. In truth, recent polls suggest that Americans largely oppose efforts to reopen private business and may even support stricter shutdown protocols. As a matter of fact, Michigan Republican State Senate Majority Leader Mike Shirkey said of the armed members of the protests, and this is including the militia members now, quote, they do not represent the Senate Republicans. At best, those so-called protesters are a bunch of jackasses. Even Fox News' own Sean Hannity said of the, quote, show of force in Michigan that while everyone has the right to protest, protect themselves, and try to get the country open, this, with the militia look here and these long guns, no. Show of force is dangerous. That puts our police at risk. And by the way, your message will never be heard, whoever you people are. Well, Sean, can I call you Sean? These people are, quoting here, private militias that are armed paramilitary groups who take on extra-legal law enforcement roles. That from Nicole Hemmer, assistant professor at the Miller Center of Public Affairs at the University of Virginia. She continues, they often have uniforms or insignias, and some engage in training exercises modeled after military exercises. That sense of having law enforcement responsibilities generally separates them from other fringe groups. The growth of these groups in the 1990s was, as you might guess, fueled by fears of gun restrictions instigated by the passage of the Brady Handgun Violence Prevention Act, and in the 2000s by the election of a Democratic and black president, she said. Hemmer also said this, which is downright shocking as it hits really close to home here, literally. In 2017, the Oregon-based Multnomah County Republican Party passed a resolution stating that the party, quote, may utilize volunteers from the Oregon 3%ers, Oath Keepers, and other security groups.
What? Are you kidding me?
No. Serious as a murder hornet. She goes on. For militia members serving as, quote, security at the anti-shutdown protest doesn't just provide more visibility, but also offers a useful networking opportunity, one that allows them to share their message by arguing that the coronavirus shutdowns prove their point about government overreach.
So, how come they're always bald, with a beard, wearing a camo jacket?
Now, Mr. Gaines, we should not profile like that.
Look at this picture. Look at that. There's 6 guys standing there with ARs, and every damn one of them has a beard and a camo jacket on.
Wait, you know, that actually might be a sign that they got these folks from Central Casting, actually.
Cheaper.
Oh, hell yes. And speaking of civilian actions, and this case, I am more than inclined to agree with, and it's ramping up as we speak right now, so let's keep an eye on this one. The Sioux tribes in the state of South Dakota are refusing to remove coronavirus checkpoints they set up on roads which pass through their land. Of course, South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem, or am I mangling that correctly? I don't know, wrote to several tribal leaders last week saying the checkpoints were illegal. But the Sioux say they are the only way of making sure the virus does not enter their reservations. The limited health care facilities would not be able to cope with an outbreak, they say.
Makes a hell of a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, it surely does. At present, people are only allowed to enter the reservations for essential business if they have not traveled from a COVID-19 hotspot. They must also complete a health questionnaire before doing so. So the governor is threatening to take the 2 tribes, the Oglala Sioux and the Cheyenne River Sioux tribes, to federal court if they do not comply. Quote, the checkpoints on state and U.S. highways, and if they don't come down, the state will take the matter to federal court. Evidently, tribes are meant to get permission from state authorities if they want to close or restrict travel inside their reservations.
Wait, it's their reservation, right?
Correct, sir.
Well, why do they need to ask these idiots permission to use their own land? That's like Cheeto Boy saying he has complete authority to do what he wants and fuck the states.
He is clearly mistaken. It's not a monarchy yet. So the chairman of the Cheyenne River Sioux tribe, Harold Frazier, issued a statement in response to the governor on Friday saying, "We will not apologize for being an island of safety in a sea of uncertainty and death. You continuing to interfere in our efforts to do what science and facts dictate seriously undermine our ability to protect everyone on the reservation," he added. "With the lack of resources we have medically, this is our best tool we have right now to try to prevent the spread of COVID-19. The Cheyenne River Sioux tribe only operates an 8-bed facility on the reservation and no intensive care unit for the 12,000 people that live on the reservation." Oglala Sioux President Julian Bearrunner says Miss Neem's decision threatened the sovereign interest of the Oglala people. Due to the lack of judgment in planning of preventive measures in response to the current pandemic, COVID-19, the Oglala Sioux tribe has adopted reasonable and necessary measures to protect the health and safety of our tribal members and our other residents of the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation. Mr. Frazier says the main purpose of the checkpoints is to monitor and try to track the virus. We want to ensure that people coming from, quote, hotspots or highly infected areas, we ask them to go around our land, he told CNN. There were about 198 cases of COVID-19 among Native Americans in the state. According to state health department figures quoted by CNN, the state has more than 3,500 confirmed cases and at least 34 deaths, according to Johns Hopkins University. And by the way, South Dakota is one of a handful of U.S. states which have not issued stay-at-home orders to their residents.
Yeah, maybe that governor should take a cue from these cats. They seem to be on top of it. And for Christ's sake, stop needing to be right.
It sure would appear they have the most sensible idea, given their tenuous situation there. I can totally sympathize with the concern there. You know, it's a much more contained area. And they're on the res. And clearly, they're not equipped to handle any serious outbreak of any kind. It would devastate that medical system of theirs there. I don't know. I say let them continue. At least they are doing something proactive, which is so much more than I can say for this situation. Well, friends, we know that down there, that's right, down there in that sandy and carefree land where the sun shines forever and the roaches eat cat food just out of defiance.
What are you looking at, moron? Cut the light out and get the frack out of here. Do it. I'll fly at you. I mean it. I'll fly right into your stinking hair and shit.
Yes, where the beaches are open and free to frolic on and to leave all your trash. Keep Brevard Beautiful, a volunteer organization that organizes trash pickups around the county, has recorded a large increase in trash on the beaches compared to other years. According to the KBB, Deputy Director Brian Bobbitt last weekend saw a heavy influx of trash on the beaches. Over 13,000 pounds of trash were picked up at Cocoa Beach last weekend, less than a month after it reopened on April 21st. As a result, officials are cracking down on littering, increasing fines and enforcement. Littering in Cocoa Beach can now fetch offenders a $250 fee. Volunteers with Keep Brevard Beautiful picked up 33 bags of trash from Friday beachgoers, 122 bags for Saturday, and 142 bags for Sunday. That overshadows an average of fewer than 10 bags for just a given day, while beach access was, of course, restricted due to coronavirus.
Now, those previous 10 bags, were those washed up on the beach mob guys?
Perhaps, Mr. Keynes. Or the thinning of the con man herd, you know?
Sad.
Yeah. Normally, there is an uptick, but what we've seen this past weekend is way above normal, Bobbitt said. It's equivalent to 4th of July and Memorial Day weekend. People need to understand if they leave trash on the ground, a bird, fish, or sea turtle could be killed by it. It's not just a blight issue, it's an environmental issue all around. Bobbitt said people who want to be even more helpful can take their trash and recyclables with them to prevent bins on the beach from overflowing. We encourage everyone to come and enjoy the beaches, but pick up after yourself.
Fucking slobs. Where'd you grow up? In a barn?
Can't take them anywhere, Mr. Keynes. Seriously, remember that old camping tip? If you came in with it, it goes out with you? I mean, well, this one might just be a subconscious reaction to the aforementioned slobismness. Gonna have to sit down for this one. A Florida police officer accidentally drove over the hip of a man lying on a beach in Indian Shores, a town in Pinellas County on the west central coast of Florida, during an evening beach patrol. Yeah. The 66-year-old beachgoer William Cazares was taken to Bayfront Health Hospital with serious but non-life-threatening injuries, the sheriff's deputies report. Officer Natasha Hindman was reported to be driving a marked police car, a Ford Explorer cruiser, at a slow speed along the beach around 6 p.m. local time, when the left tires of the vehicle drove over the man's hips, according to the sheriff's office. Hindman was reported to have stopped the vehicle and immediately administered aid to Cazares while paramedics arrived at the scene.
Yeah, but she was still parked on him.
Yeah, that would be very complicated, yes. The incident, which took place just south of the 193rd Avenue Beach access area, is under investigation. Speed and impairment were not factors in the incident, investigators said.
Well, the car was high, but what the hell?
Masterful, Mr. Keynes.
Just call me the continuity king, bro.
That's right. I think you should, in fact, be crowned for that remark. Yes. What are we to do, friends? Except ask that time-honored question that has been honored throughout time in a form of a question.
What the fuck, Florida?
And with that, we'll take our overinflated selves and squeeze between the floorboards, but not before thanking our contributors to this edition of Fusebox, Sabra May and Joshua Willis. Thanks, as always, to the hand-sanitized excellence of the Doctor of Dials himself, Milt Keynes, for technical assistance.
Pleasure as always. Oh, and may your flux always be turgid-free.
I thank you. I hear eating bran can help, too. A world of thanks to you, friends, for pushing play on this edition of the show. We would be so very alone and somehow putrid in our desiccant misery.
you gotta ease up on those shrooms, bro.
Yeah, one porcini over the line, man. Yes, and if you would be so kind, please subscribe and rate and like and whatever is available to you for this particular program, wherever you may have found it, be it Apple Podcasts or Stitcher or iHeartRadio or the very mysterious OnSug itself at onsug.com. We would so very much appreciate that. And while you're at it, why not pick up a handy Fusebox face mask? It's all the rage these days and in some places mandatory, and can be found in a variety of styles in the Fusebox store, conveniently linked in the show notes, and at, of course, the Fusebox Facebook page. Simply click the little Shop Now button located there, as well as the FuseboxShow.com, and just click the shopping tab. Wondrously easy and fun for the whole family. Yeah, greatly appreciated on this side as well. I have been your crunchy on the outside, chewy on the inside host, Mark Rose, saying, please do stay safe and by all means healthy. And until our next cartoon.
Fuse.